if I told you that there's 5 simple things that you can do that take no extra time, okay? You just simply kind of blend them in with what you're already doing every time you're with your horse and working with your horse. That's going to have a huge positive impact on everything going forward. Well, there are, and I want to chat about them today. Okay, so let's dive in. Hey there, and welcome to the Daily Strides podcast. My name is Lorna Leeson. I'm an equestrian trainer and coach, and for the past, going on 11 years now, I have been helping riders from all over the world to have better conversations with their horses and to, get ahead, especially if they're working alone without a trainer or coach. Okay, so today I was thinking about, it's the new year as I released this episode, and I was thinking about what could I do to help you to really and truly kickstart this new year in style, okay, to make it work for you without overwhelming you, because I think that's often the key. We can, create challenges. I've done a lot of those in the past. We can do all these different things, and very often it just feels a little overwhelming to have to change everything in order to get a result. So I was thinking, what could you do with your horse that kind of just adds to it, really and truly just complements what you're doing right now in order for you to begin to see transformation in your riding? And after going through a couple of different things and kind of thinking about it all, I really and truly decided these are the 5 things that I would suggest that are going to make the biggest difference. And again, all can be just simply worked into what you're currently doing right now with your horse. All it's going to take is a little bit of self-awareness and intention from you while you're working with your horse, okay? So the first one is a quick massage or a little bit of a, body work session with your horse. And how I would tie this in is with the grooming. Now, I understand that if you are not a qualified therapist or a qualified professional, we can't be expecting magical unicorn-like results. However, there are so many wonderful social media accounts that you can follow where the people, the experts, the professionals will actually show you just very, very simple things that you can do for your horse. And especially if you have specific challenges or you're looking for specific benefits. And I think that when you can begin to regularly work these really simple things into your grooming. So every time you're working with your horse, I'm going to assume that you groom your horse before you work with your horse, okay? Big assumption on my part, but I'm hoping I'm right, okay? But every time you're doing that, if you could just incorporate this or a little kind of 1 or 2 movements that, again, really and truly will help you and your horse, whatever your unique circumstance or situation is, I think that is going to have a huge knock-on positive effect in the whole training for you and your horse. Now, does this replace having a professional visit your horse regularly? No, of course not. Okay, but it is a way that, first of all, you can begin to know and learn more about your horse's body and how your horse's body works. It also can have some therapeutic benefits, whether it's just relaxation or you're actually helping your horse physically in some way, shape or form. And also, it's just a great way to bond with your horse, isn't it? And to really develop the partnership between the two of you, okay? So I highly, highly, highly recommend that. Jump onto social media, find like a bodywork therapist, a physio. There's so many different of these professionals that you can follow. Find one that resonates with you, that you enjoy. If I go back to the episode a couple of weeks ago where I was talking about, kind of really and truly keeping an eye on who you follow and who you're being influenced by, find somebody that you kind of align with, or you feel, yeah, I like that. I like what they're saying. I like the kind of theory behind it. I like the way they're presenting it. Yes, that's for me. And then begin to incorporate this into your daily working sessions with your horse. Now, the second thing you can do is, moving on to tacking up, you can begin to visualize the whole training session, if you want, that's coming up, that you're going to go through with your horse while you are tacking up, okay? Now, after grooming, we obviously naturally progress to getting the horse ready for work. And whether you're preparing to lunge or ride or even just do some groundwork, I can bet there's probably some sort of equipment, and whether it be saddles, bridles, or just boots or bandages, okay, that you're going to put on your horse you will have time to actually begin to think about, okay, what do I want the outcome for this training session to be? Okay. And if I was to achieve that outcome from right here, right now, standing in this stable, what would be the steps I'd have to take to get there? Okay. When you can begin to really and truly kind of dive into this, when you can begin to, first of all, visualize what it is, okay? Or maybe if you struggle with visualizing things, you can actually say what it is so you can speak it out to your horse, okay? And then begin to kind of feel like, oh yeah, that's how it will feel when that happens, when we reach that today in this training session. That's how it's going to feel. It makes it so much easier that when you're actually working with your horse, you will begin to know, hold on, we're a little bit off track here now. This isn't going to plan. This was not one of the steps that we'd spoken about or that we'd thought about, okay? This was not there. Hold on, let's get back on track. And you can also then begin to see like, yes, this is it. Okay, this was one of the steps and we've reached it. Brilliant. What was the next one? Let's move on to that. So it's going to help your whole training session with your horse become more, if you want, focused. And I'm a big thing in quality over quantity. So I think it's going to help you with that as well. Now, the third thing that I suggest that many riders kind of think, really, how important could that be? Is the rider actually stretching before they mount up, okay? Now, of course, I'm talking about just doing a couple of simple stretches, like nothing too fancy, 3-4 minutes max, okay? But what I would suggest doing is if you don't have the time, okay, to actually spend 3 or 4 minutes stretching or whatever it is you're going to do, okay? If you don't have time to do that, what I'm going to suggest is begin to kind of, just put these in, like sprinkle them in between all the other things that you're doing, okay? So it could be like every time you change a brush, okay? So I know in the top half of the world, it's winter now, so maybe you've got your rubber curry comb and then you're going to your dandy or whatever, okay? And I don't know if your horse is clipped or not. It'll depend what brushes you're using, depending on where you are and your unique set of circumstances. But what is important is that you're beginning to incorporate a couple of stretches in there. Now, I think as well, what would make this even kind of better for you would be to identify maybe where you struggle a little bit, where there is a little bit of tightness showing up in your body when you're riding. And if you can find really simple stretches that you can perform before you mount up and you begin to actually work on those. And again, this is not fancy. I'm not saying spending hours on the ground or rolling out a yoga mat and none of that at all, okay? Like, think the most simple, basic things that you can do. Like, as you're going to maybe get your saddle, do like a couple of stretches. And as you're going to maybe between putting the saddle and the bridle on, do a couple of stretches, okay? It's just that you want to begin to show up a little bit more supple, a little bit more loosey-goosiness going on in your body, okay? And when you're able to do that, when you enter the quote unquote warm up with your horse, it's going to allow you to actually focus more on helping your horse, okay? And not only that, if we think about using the warm up to really get in sync with our horses, well, if you're already a little bit more supple, it's going to help encourage that as well, okay? Which is going to, in the long run, help the actual work training session or the part of the session for the two of you together. Now, after you work, okay, so when all the work is finished and you're busy cooling down, instead of just kind of zoning out and just kind of randomly, see riders doing lots of things when they're doing this part of the each inevitable work session, okay, with their horse. What about if you began to kind of put your thoughts together about what actually happened during that particular session? And then if you've already done the kind of the visualization during the tacking up stage, you could actually make this even easier. You can start saying, okay, like, did we actually go through all of that? Did we achieve our overall goal for the session? Like, how on track were we throughout, or, how off track were we throughout? Okay. What worked well? What needs attention? Is there something missing in the training that I need to kind of incorporate in further training plans going forward? All of these questions, you can think about them as you are cooling your horse down. Am I saying you totally stop focusing on your horse? No, not at all. But these are things that you can really begin to, while they're still fresh, like you're still in the saddle here, or you're still lunging, you're still walking the horse, whatever, okay? You can begin to think about all of this. And then from there, and this is my fifth and final point for you, you then, once you've looked after your horse is a happy camper, okay? So you've gotten off, or you've brought him back to the stable or whatever it is that you're working with, and your horse is happy, he's cooled down, everything's good, write it down in the riding journal. Okay, this is probably the most simple thing you can do to make this coming year the best year for you and your horse, and yet it is the thing that most riders have most resistance to. I don't know why, okay? It is so simple. Just keep one in your grooming kit. Simple as that. Like and whether you have a bag or a box or whatever it is, you keep all your brushes and that in, just keep it in there. It could be a little, doesn't even have to be an A5, it could be an A6, okay? It could be a tiny little thing, but you want to write it down. And again, if you've already kind of gone through it during the cool down, it's going to make it even easier for you, okay? But by writing it down, it begins to allow you to have this feedback loop for yourself, which if you're working alone, okay, so if you spend a lot of time without a trainer or coach or an instructor in the arena with you, it's going to be so good going forward, okay? Like, it's gold, okay, what you're going to find out when you do this over a period of time. So that is the 5 suggestions that I am going to leave you with as we go into this new year. I hope that you'll take me up on 1 or 2 of them. I'd love to hear about it. You can join me over inside of the Daily Strides podcast online community. You can find the link for that over at stridesforsuccess.com/group. There's a link for it there. And let me know which one you're going to do, okay? Or maybe you're going to do all of them, okay? But let me know how it goes for you and your horse. And hopefully this is going to help you both to move forward in your riding together. Okay, I am going to leave it at that. Have a super day. Keep well. And I'll chat to you soon. Be good. Bye.